I stood in the parking lot of Riverside Memorial Chapel in Vancouver, watching the last guests file out after my sister's funeral. Margaret had been gone for 3 days, and I still couldn't process it. 71 years old, dead from what the doctors called a massive stroke. Quick, they said. Painless. She didn't suffer, but I was suffering now. Margaret wasn't just my sister. She was my twin. We'd shared a womb, shared a childhood in Halifax, moved to Vancouver together in 1978 when we were both 23. For 68 years, she'd been the other half of me, and now that half was gone. I was getting ready to leave when I noticed a man in a gray suit standing near the chapel entrance. He was watching me with an intensity that made me uncomfortable. As I turned toward my car, he approached. "Mr. Thomas Whitfield?" I stopped. "That's me." He was about 50, thin, with the kind of careful posture lawyers have. "My name is David Chen. I was your sister's attorney. I need to speak with you, privately. Can't this wait? It's been a long day." "I'm afraid it can't." He glanced around the parking lot. "Your sister left specific instructions. She said if anything happened to her, I was to give you something immediately after the funeral. She was very clear about the timing." Something in his tone made my throat tighten. "What do you mean, if anything happened?" David reached into his briefcase and pulled out a large manila envelope. Margaret's handwriting was on the front. "For Thomas. Read alone." "What is this?" "I don't know. She sealed it herself 6 months ago, but she gave me very specific verbal instructions." He lowered his voice. "She said not to let Diane see it. She said not to tell your nephew Nathan. And she said—" He paused. "She said you needed to be careful." My hands went cold. Diane was Margaret's daughter-in-law. Nathan was her son, my nephew, 43 years old. He'd lost his wife, Sarah, to cancer 2 years ago, and Margaret had helped him through it. Then last year, Nathan had surprised everyone by marrying Diane, a 36-year-old nurse he'd met at Sarah's hospice facility. Careful of what? She didn't say. "But Mr. Whitfield, your sister came to my office 6 months ago. She updated her will, set up a trust for Nathan's daughter Emma, and gave me that envelope. She was scared. I could see it. Margaret wasn't scared of anything. She was scared of something." He handed me the envelope. "She also gave me this." He pulled out a small USB drive. "She said if you need help, if you don't know what to do after reading what's in that envelope, come to my office. We'll watch this together." I took both items with trembling hands. "Did Margaret say what was on this?" "She called it her insurance policy." David's expression was grave. "Mr. Whitfield, I've been practicing law for 26 years. I've seen a lot of things, but I've never had a client prepare for their own death like your sister did." She knew something was wrong. After he left, I sat in my car for 20 minutes, staring at that envelope. Finally, I drove home to my apartment in Kitsilano, locked the door, closed the blinds, and opened it. Inside were 3 things: a letter in Margaret's handwriting, printouts of text messages, and a photocopy of her medical records from Vancouver General Hospital. The letter was dated 6 months ago, January 15th. "Tommy," it began. She was the only person who'd called me that in 50 years. "If you're reading this, I'm gone. And if I'm gone, it means I was right about Diane. I know this sounds paranoid. I know you'll think your old sister lost her mind. But I need you to listen. Something's been wrong since Nathan married that woman. It started small. She insisted on managing my medications, said it was too much for me to keep track of. I have high blood pressure. You know that. The doctor prescribed me beta blockers 2 years ago. But 3 months after Diane moved into the house, I started feeling strange, dizzy, confused, weak. I went to the doctor without telling anyone. He ran tests. My potassium levels were critically low. He was confused because the medication I was taking shouldn't cause that. He asked to see my pills. Tommy, they weren't the right pills. The bottle said propranolol 40 milligrams, but the pills inside weren't beta blockers. I had them tested. They were diuretics, strong ones, the kind that flush potassium out of your body. When I confronted Diane privately, she acted shocked, said there must have been a pharmacy error. She threw the pills away before I could stop her, and got me new ones. But I didn't trust her. I started checking every pill against images online. Half the time, they weren't what the label said. I started pretending to take them, but hiding them instead. That's when things got worse. Diane began making me special meals, Said she wanted to take care of me. High sodium foods, when my doctor said to avoid salt. Heavy cream sauces, fried things. All the foods that spike blood pressure. Then she started talking to Nathan about my declining mental state. Told him I was forgetting things, getting paranoid, showing signs of dementia. Nathan believed her. Why wouldn't he? She's a nurse. She cared for his first wife. But I'm not losing my mind. I'm being poisoned. Slowly, carefully. And I can't prove it. I hired a private investigator. His name is Robert Martinez. His report is in my safe deposit box at TD Bank, box 447. The key is taped under the bottom drawer of my desk at home. Tommy, Diane isn't who she says she is. She's been married 3 times before. 2 of those husbands died under suspicious circumstances. One was ruled a heart attack. The other was a fall. Both were wealthy. Both had life insurance that went to her. Nathan has a $750,000 life insurance policy. I have $400,000. Emma's trust fund is worth $300,000. If Nathan and I are both gone, and if Diane has custody of Emma, she controls everything. I tried to tell Nathan. He got angry, said I was trying to ruin his happiness because I never approved of Diane. That's not true. I just want him safe. I've changed my will. Diane gets nothing. Emma's trust is protected. But I'm scared, Tommy. I'm scared for Nathan. I'm scared for Emma. And I'm scared for myself. If something happens to me, please protect them. Don't let Nathan marry this woman. If it's too late for that, then watch him closely. Watch what Diane gives him. Watch what she does. I've been documenting everything. My lawyer, David Chen, has a USB drive with video recordings. I hid cameras in my room. I recorded Diane switching my pills. I recorded her putting something in Nathan's coffee last week. He's been complaining about headaches and fatigue, the same symptoms I had. I tried to go to the police, but they said I needed more evidence. They said maybe it was just stress. Maybe I was mistaken about the pills. They treated me like a confused old woman, so I'm gathering more evidence. But if you're reading this, it means I ran out of time. Please, Tommy, save Nathan. Save Emma. Don't let Diane destroy what's left of our family. I love you, brother. I'm sorry I couldn't be smarter. I'm sorry I couldn't protect myself. Your twin sister, Margaret. My hands were shaking so badly I dropped the letter. I picked up the photocopied medical records. They showed exactly what Margaret described. Dangerously low potassium, elevated blood pressure readings despite medication, signs of dehydration consistent with diuretic abuse. The text messages were between Diane and an unknown number. They'd been printed from Margaret's phone. Screenshots she must have taken. The first one was from 2 months ago. Diane, the old woman is getting suspicious. Asking too many questions about her pills. Unknown. Then stop with the pills. Use something else. You said she has high BP. That's easy. Diane, I'm working on it. But if she tells Nathan, unknown, she won't. You've already made him think she's senile. Trust the process. It worked twice before. The next message made my blood run cold. Diane, Nathan's starting to feel the effects. Giving him the same thing, just smaller doses. Need him weak, but not suspicious. Unknown, good. How's the kid? Diane, Emma's easier. Teenager, moody, nobody questions it when she's tired or irritable. Plus, she's at school most of the day. After the old lady and Nathan are gone, I'll have guardian rights. The trust fund will be mine to manage. Unknown. And if the brother asks questions. Diane, Thomas? He's 68, lives alone, barely visits. By the time he figures anything out, it'll be too late. I was going to be sick. I ran to the bathroom and vomited. When I came back, I looked at the date on the messages. The last one was from 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks before Margaret died of a massive stroke. Strokes can be induced. Extremely high blood pressure, dehydration, potassium imbalance. All of those increase stroke risk, especially in a 71-year-old woman. My sister hadn't died of natural causes. She'd been murdered, and Nathan was next. I grabbed my phone and called Nathan. It rang 4 times before he answered. His voice was groggy, weak. Uncle Thomas? Nathan, where are you? I'm home. I'm not feeling well. Diane said I should rest. What symptoms are you having? Headache, dizziness. I've been tired for weeks. Diane thinks it might be the flu. Listen to me very carefully. Don't eat or drink anything Diane gives you. Do you understand? Nothing. What? Uncle Thomas, what are you talking about? Your mother left me something. Evidence. Nathan, Diane isn't who you think she is. She's been poisoning you. She poisoned your mother. There was a long silence. Then, you sound like Mom. She said crazy things about Diane too. I thought you were different. I have proof. Text messages, medical records. Your mother documented everything. My mother was paranoid and confused in her last months. Diane told me it was early-stage dementia. Did she? Or did she just make you believe that? This is insane. I'm hanging up. Nathan, wait. Just answer one question. Where's Emma? Another pause. She's at school. Why? When she gets home, don't let Diane be alone with her, please. Just give me 24 hours to show you what I found. I think the stress of losing Mom has gotten to you. Maybe you should talk to someone. Nathan. He hung up. I immediately called David Chen. He answered on the second ring. Mr. Whitfield? I need to see that USB drive. Now, I'll meet you at my office in 30 minutes. David's law office was in downtown Vancouver, 10th floor of a glass building overlooking Cole Harbor. When I arrived, he already had his computer ready. I haven't watched this, he said. Your sister asked me not to unless you decided to view it with me. He inserted the USB drive. There were 12 video files, each dated and time-stamped. The first one was from 6 months ago. It showed Margaret's bedroom from an angle near the ceiling. Margaret must have hidden a camera in a bookshelf. In the video, Diane entered the room, carrying a medication organizer. She looked around, then opened Margaret's prescription bottles and dumped out the contents. From her pocket, she pulled out different pills and refilled the bottles. Oh my God, David whispered. The second video was from 3 months ago. Same bedroom. This time Diane was on the phone while organizing Margaret's pills. We turned up the volume. Yes, I switched them again. She's getting the diuretics instead of the beta blockers. Her potassium levels must be tanking by now. Pause. I know, but the old bitch is tougher than expected. She went to her doctor. He ran tests. I had to play it off as a pharmacy error. Another pause. Don't worry. I've done this before. Remember Harold? Took me 8 months, but the heart attack looked completely natural, and Patricia's fall was ruled accidental. This will work too. David looked at me, his face white. We need to call the police. Keep watching. The next videos showed more pill switching. In one, Diane was caught on camera adding something to a cup of coffee, then taking it to Nathan in another room. In another, she was searching through Margaret's desk, clearly looking for something. The last video was from 2 weeks before Margaret died. In it, Margaret spoke directly to the camera. This is Margaret Whitfield, speaking on July 2nd. I am of sound mind and body. I'm making this statement in case something happens to me. She looked tired, older than her 71 years. My daughter-in-law, Diane Whitfield, has been systematically poisoning me for the past 6 months. I have evidence of pill switching, of her adding substances to my food and drinks, and of her conspiring with an unknown person to murder me and my son Nathan for our life insurance and assets. I've tried to warn Nathan, but Diane has convinced him I'm suffering from dementia. I've tried to go to the police, but without concrete proof, they won't act, so I'm creating this record. If you're watching this, it means I'm gone. It means Diane succeeded. Please don't let my son be next. Please don't let my granddaughter grow up under that woman's control. Save them. Her voice cracked. Tommy, if you're seeing this, I'm so sorry. I should have been more careful. I should have seen the signs earlier. But please, don't let my death be for nothing. Stop her. The video ended. David and I sat in silence for a long moment. Then he picked up his phone. I'm calling the police, he said. This is evidence of murder and ongoing attempted murder. Wait. I grabbed his arm. If we go to the police now, with just this, what happens? They investigate. That takes time. Meanwhile, Nathan is still living with Diane, still eating her food, taking whatever pills she gives him. If she suspects we know, she might accelerate her plan. Nathan could be dead before the police act. What are you suggesting? I need to get Nathan out of that house. And I need to get Emma to safety. Once they're safe, then we go to the police with everything. David shook his head. That's dangerous. If Diane realizes what you're doing, she already thinks I'm a non-threat. Margaret's messages said so. I'm just the grieving old brother who barely visits. I can use that. How? I thought for a moment. Nathan's wife Sarah died 2 years ago. They were married for 18 years. Their anniversary would have been next week. I'll tell Nathan I want to take him and Emma to the cemetery, visit Sarah's grave together, like we did last year, a family grief ritual. Diane won't see it as suspicious. And then what? Then I show Nathan everything. Away from Diane's influence, with Emma there as protection so he can see I'm trying to help his daughter too. Once he sees the evidence, he'll believe me. And if he doesn't, then I'll call the police anyway. But at least I'll have him out of the house for a few hours. That might be enough time for them to act. David copied all the files onto a second USB drive and gave it to me. Be careful, Mr. Whitfield. Your sister was right to be scared. Diane has done this before. She's good at it. That evening, I called Nathan again. This time, I kept my voice calm, gentle. Nathan, I'm sorry about earlier. I was upset. Losing Margaret has been hard. I understand, Uncle Thomas. I'm sorry, too. I shouldn't have hung up on you. I was thinking, next Wednesday would have been Sarah's anniversary. I remember last year, you, me, Emma, and your mom visited her grave together. Would you want to do that again? I think it might help us all to grieve together. There was a pause. I could hear Diane's voice in the background, asking who was on the phone. I think that would be nice. Emma's been having a hard time since Grandma died. Maybe it would be good for her. Good. I'll pick you both up Wednesday morning. Around 10? Diane usually drives us. Let me do this, please. It's important to me. Another pause. Then, okay, Wednesday at 10. After I hung up, I spent 2 hours making a plan. I would pick up Nathan and Emma, drive them to Forest Lawn Cemetery where Sarah was buried, and once we were there, away from Diane, I would show them everything. The videos, the messages, Margaret's letter. I would make Nathan see the truth, but I needed backup. If Nathan reacted badly, if he didn't believe me, I needed someone official there who could act immediately. I called the Vancouver Police Department and asked for the detective division. After being transferred twice, I reached Detective Sarah Mackenzie. Detective, my name is Thomas Whitfield. I have evidence that my sister was murdered and that her son is being actively poisoned by his wife. I need help. To my relief, she didn't dismiss me. Tell me what you have, Mr. Whitfield. I told her everything. The pills, the messages, the videos, Margaret's death. When I finished, she was quiet for a moment. This is serious. Can you bring the evidence to the station? I will. But first I need to get my nephew and his daughter away from the suspect. If I go to you now, and you start investigating, she might panic. She might accelerate whatever she's planning. Mr. Whitfield, I can't advise you to. I'm not asking for advice. I'm asking you to be ready. Wednesday morning, I'm taking my nephew and his daughter to Forest Lawn Cemetery. I'll be showing them the evidence. If you could have officers nearby, just in case things go wrong, I would feel safer. She hesitated. What time Wednesday? 10 a.m. We'll be at the cemetery until at least noon. I'll have a patrol unit in the area. But Mr. Whitfield, if this woman is as dangerous as you say, please be careful. Don't confront her directly. Don't do anything that would put you or your family at risk. I won't. I just want Nathan and Emma safe. The days until Wednesday crawled by. I barely slept. I kept imagining Margaret's last moments, wondering if she was scared, if she knew what was happening. I kept thinking about Nathan, getting weaker every day, and Emma, unaware that her stepmother was planning to take everything from her. On Tuesday night, Nathan called me. Uncle Thomas, I'm not feeling well. I don't think I can make it tomorrow. My heart sank. What's wrong? Just weak. Headaches. Diane thinks I should stay home and rest. Nathan, this is important to me. It's important for Emma too. Can you push through? Just for a couple of hours? I don't know. In the background, I heard Diane's voice, too muffled to make out words. Nathan, please. For Sarah, for your mother, let me have this time with you and Emma. Finally. Okay. But if I feel worse, we're coming home early. Of course. I'll see you tomorrow at 10. Wednesday morning arrived cold and gray. Typical Vancouver November weather. I drove to Nathan's house in Point Grey, a beautiful craftsman-style home that Margaret had helped them buy. The house where my sister had spent her last months, being slowly murdered. Nathan answered the door. He looked terrible, thin, pale, with dark circles under his eyes. He'd aged 10 years in the months since I'd last seen him. "You look awful," I said. "Thanks, Uncle Thomas." He tried to smile. "Diane says it's just stress. Grief affects people differently." "Where is Diane?" "At work. She has a shift at the hospital until 4. That was good. I wouldn't have to face her yet. Emma came down the stairs, wearing black jeans and a hoodie. She was 15, tall for her age, with her mother Sarah's red hair and freckles. She looked sad and exhausted. "Hi, Uncle Thomas." "Hi, sweetheart. You ready?" She nodded silently. We drove to Forest Lawn in my Honda Civic. Nathan dozed in the passenger seat. Emma was quiet in the back, earbuds in, staring out the window. The cemetery was nearly empty on a Wednesday morning. We parked near Sarah's grave, a simple granite headstone with her name, dates, and the inscription "Beloved Wife and Mother." Nathan stood there for a long time, saying nothing. Emma stood beside him, tears running down her face. After a few minutes, I said gently, "Nathan, Emma, I need to talk to you both about something important. Can we sit in the car?" We got back in the Honda. I turned to face them from the driver's seat. "Before your mother died, Nathan, she left me something. Evidence. About Diane." Nathan's expression hardened. "Not this again. Please, just look at what I have. Then if you still think I'm wrong, I'll take you home and never mention it again." "Uncle Thomas, 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking." He sighed. "Fine, 5 minutes." I pulled out my laptop and the USB drive. I started with Margaret's letter. Nathan's face went through several emotions as he read. Annoyance, confusion, then something like fear. "This is... Mom wrote this? 6 months ago. She thought Diane was poisoning her? She didn't think it. She knew it. Watch these." I played the videos, the pill switching, the phone conversation where Diane admitted to killing her previous husbands, Margaret's final statement. Emma gasped when she saw Diane on the phone. "That's her voice. That's Diane." Nathan had gone very pale. "This can't be real. Diane wouldn't. She's a nurse. She took care of Sarah. She also took care of 2 previous husbands. Both died under suspicious circumstances. Both left her their money." I showed him the private investigator's report that David had retrieved from Margaret's safe deposit box. "Her real name is Diane Kruger. She's been married 4 times. 2 husbands died of heart attacks. 1 fell down the stairs, and 1 she divorced. The pattern is clear." Nathan was shaking. "But why? Why would she marry me?" "Your life insurance policy. Margaret's estate. Emma's trust fund. Combined, it's worth over $1.5 million. Emma's voice was small. "She's been making me special smoothies every morning. Said they'd help with my stress about Grandma. I've been so tired lately." My blood ran cold. "What's in the smoothies?" "I don't know. Protein powder," she said. "Vitamins?" Nathan grabbed his phone. "I'm calling the police." "I already did. Detective Mackenzie is on her way." As if on cue, 2 Vancouver police cars pulled into the cemetery. Detective Mackenzie got out of the first one. A woman in her 40s with short, dark hair and a no-nonsense expression. I got out to meet her. "Detective, Mr. Whitfield, you have the evidence?" I handed her the laptop and USB drive. "Everything's on here. Videos, messages, medical records, private investigator's report. My sister documented 6 months of systematic poisoning before she died." She watched the videos in her car, her expression growing darker. After 20 minutes, she came back. "Mr. Whitfield, Nathan, Emma, I need you all to come to the station and give statements. This is now a homicide investigation. We'll be obtaining a warrant for Diane Whitfield's arrest." Nathan was crying. "My mother tried to tell me. I didn't believe her. I thought she was losing her mind. God, I let Diane convince me my own mother was demented." "Diane is very good at manipulation," Detective Mackenzie said gently. "That's how people like her operate. They isolate their victims, turn them against anyone who might see the truth. You're not to blame." "What happens now?" I asked. "We'll arrest Diane when she leaves work today. We'll search the house for evidence. I'll need samples of the pills Nathan's been taking, any food or drinks Diane has been preparing. Emma, we'll need those smoothies too." Emma nodded, still crying. "Mr. Whitfield, you likely saved both their lives by acting when you did." We spent 4 hours at the police station. Nathan and Emma gave statements. I provided copies of everything Margaret had left me. Detective Mackenzie handled everything with professional efficiency. At 4:30, we got word that Diane had been arrested at Vancouver General Hospital as she left her shift. She'd tried to run when she saw the police, which didn't help her case. When they searched the house, they found exactly what Margaret's videos had shown. Nathan's prescription bottles filled with the wrong medications, diuretics disguised as blood pressure medicine, sedatives disguised as vitamins. Emma's protein powder tested positive for a sedative. The smoothie in the refrigerator contained enough sedative to knock out an adult, let alone a 15-year-old girl. They also found Diane's computer. Her browser history showed searches for untraceable poisons, inducing heart attacks, how long does digitalis take to work, and custody rights for step-parents. There were emails to the unknown number from the text messages. That number belonged to Diane's boyfriend, Marcus Reed, who lived in Seattle. He'd helped her plan all 3 previous murders. The toxicology report on Margaret came back 2 weeks later. High levels of multiple substances, diuretics that had depleted her potassium, medications that had spiked her blood pressure to dangerous levels, and traces of a substance that increased clotting, making stroke more likely. The medical examiner changed the cause of death from natural causes to homicide by poisoning. Diane was charged with first-degree murder for Margaret's death, 2 counts of attempted murder for Nathan and Emma, and fraud. Marcus Reed was arrested in Seattle and charged as an accessory to murder. Nathan and Emma moved in with me temporarily. Nathan needed time to recover, both physically and emotionally. His doctors were amazed at how quickly his symptoms improved once he stopped taking Diane's medications. Emma struggled with trust issues, nightmares, and guilt over not seeing the signs. She started therapy. We all did. The trial was 8 months later. Diane's defense tried to argue that Margaret had been a paranoid elderly woman, that the videos were misunderstood, that the medications were genuine pharmacy errors. But the evidence was overwhelming. The jury deliberated for 3 hours before returning guilty verdicts on all charges. Diane received life in prison, without possibility of parole, for 25 years. Marcus Reed got 15 years as an accessory. After the trial, Nathan, Emma, and I visited Margaret's grave. We planted roses, her favorite flowers. "I'm so sorry, Mom," Nathan said, his voice breaking. "I should have listened to you. I should have believed you." "She knows you love her," I said. "And she knows you're safe now. That's what mattered to her." Emma put her hand on the headstone. "Grandma saved us. Even after she died, she saved us." She had. Margaret had seen the danger, documented it, and created a plan to protect her family even from beyond the grave. She'd known she might not survive, but she'd made sure Diane wouldn't win. Over the following months, Nathan slowly rebuilt his life. He sold the house in Point Grey, too many bad memories. He and Emma moved into a condo closer to my apartment. Emma started trusting people again, slowly. She even started dating a boy from her school, though Nathan and I both carefully vetted him first. Nathan met someone too, eventually. A kind woman named Jennifer, who worked at his office. They took things slowly. Nathan had learned the hard way not to rush into things, not to ignore red flags, not to let anyone isolate him from the people who loved him. As for me, I think about Margaret every day. I think about how she spent her last months scared and alone, knowing she was being murdered and unable to stop it. I think about her courage in documenting everything, in creating a plan to save her son and granddaughter even when she couldn't save herself. I learned something from my sister's death. I learned that evil doesn't always look like evil. Sometimes it looks like kindness, like care, like love. Diane was a nurse. She'd taken care of Sarah during her final days. She'd seemed perfect for Nathan, patient and understanding and helpful. But she was a predator. She'd done this before and would have kept doing it if Margaret hadn't stopped her. I learned to trust my instincts. When something feels wrong, it probably is. When someone tries to isolate you from your family, that's a warning sign. When someone insists on controlling your medication, your food, your access to other people, that's not care, that's control. I learned to pay attention to the people I love, to notice when they're declining, when they're being influenced, when they need help even if they don't ask for it. And I learned that sometimes the people we think are crazy are actually the only ones seeing clearly. Margaret wasn't paranoid. She wasn't demented. She was being murdered, and she was smart enough to see it and strong enough to fight back. She saved her family. She saved Nathan and Emma. And in a way, she saved me too, because she reminded me that family protects family, always, no matter what. 3 years have passed now. Emma is 18, heading to university in September to study psychology. She says she wants to help people recognize manipulation and abuse. Nathan is healthy and happy with Jennifer, though he'll always carry the guilt of not believing his mother. And I visit Margaret's grave every Sunday. I tell her about Emma's accomplishments, about Nathan's healing, about how her plan worked, how she won. You were the smart one, Maggie. I tell her gravestone. You always were, because she was. Even at the end, even when she was being poisoned and isolated and gaslit into thinking she was losing her mind, Margaret was smart enough to see the truth. She was brave enough to document it. She was loving enough to protect her family from beyond death. That's the real lesson here. Trust yourself. Document everything. Don't ignore the people who love you when they warn you about danger. And never, ever, let anyone convince you that your instincts are wrong. Margaret tried to warn Nathan while she was alive. He didn't listen because Diane had already convinced him his mother was unreliable. By the time Nathan was ready to listen, Margaret was gone. But she'd prepared for that. She'd known she might lose the battle for her own life, so she made sure she'd win the war for her family's future. If you're reading this and something feels wrong in your own life, listen to that feeling. If someone you trust warns you about danger, take it seriously. If you notice a loved one declining rapidly, ask questions. Don't accept easy answers. And if you're being isolated, controlled, or manipulated, document everything. Tell someone you trust. Create a paper trail, because the Margaret Whitfields of the world are out there, trying to protect their families, even when no one believes them. They deserve to be heard. They deserve to be believed. And they deserve justice. My sister got her justice, eventually. Nathan and Emma are safe. Diane will spend the rest of her life in prison. But Margaret is still gone, and no amount of justice can bring her back. So I'll keep visiting her grave. I'll keep telling her about her grandchildren, about the family she saved, about the legacy she left behind. And I'll keep remembering the lesson she taught me. Always protect the people you love. Always listen when someone says they're in danger. And never, ever assume that someone who seems too good to be true actually is good. Because sometimes they're exactly what Margaret said Diane was, a predator, waiting for the right moment to strike. Thank God Margaret was watching. Thank God she was prepared. Thank God she loved her family enough to fight, even when the fight cost her everything. Rest well, Maggie. You won. Your family is safe. That's what you wanted, and that's what you got.